Hi, my name is Ashley Ballard, and it is a joy today to join you via video to have a discussion. I am letting my guard down, okay, and I want to talk with you. And yes, this is not live, so no, you can't chime in and ask a question right here, right now. But why I want to let my guard down is because we have enough of the fluff. Fancy, I want to be real. I want to connect with you, human to human, if that's okay. So, without further ado, the reason for this video is because we are all right now together working very hard to come through a storm, okay? Now, maybe you yourself, like me, you've seen some of the pictures and quotes online on social media where they say we're all in the same storm, but we may not all have the same boat. There are some of us who probably feel as if we are in really large and secure ships, right? Then maybe there are some who feel like they're in a very small sailboat or paddle boat rather, where you're just really working hard to make it through, right? And honestly, maybe there is someone who feels like, you know what? I don't even feel like I have a boat. I feel like I have nothing but a plank and I am just floating my way through. Well, whatever your case may be, whether you have the big ship with lots of security and protection and you know you're going to get to the other side, or whether you have the paddle boat and you are really working your way through, or whether you have the plank and you are just hoping that you make it to the other side. My desire is to give you some nuggets so that you can make it through this, at least this season, like this current moment in time, okay? Sometimes we don't have to look so far into the future, but if we can just get enough sustenance for the current moment, then that in itself is good, right? So today I want to talk a little bit about understanding our emotions. And you might think, what on earth do I need to understand my emotions? Or why do I need to understand my emotions? And I'll get into that, and I'll share some, a few reasons as to why. But I want to say most importantly is when you understand your emotions, that in itself will kind of help you realize, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm okay, and it's okay to feel the way I feel. When you understand your emotions, you are able to come into awareness. And you realize, oh, I'm actually acting this way because I feel a certain way. And when you understand your emotions, you are actually able to express yourself more, right? So also, once you're able to understand your own emotions, it will help you so that you can look at your neighbor, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, spouse, child, colleague, supervisor, and you may be able to say, you know what? They're going through this storm as well. And I don't know what type of ship they are actually in, or what type of boat rather they're actually in. Let me look back and try to understand their emotions. Or even if I can't understand their emotions, I at least know that they have feelings too. All right, so today I'm going to break down with you just the 6 basic emotions. For some, you may be very familiar with them, but I still find it very significant to start at the beginning of a thing, and the foundational points really help us come into greater understanding. We have heard time and time again since March, since we've been in this pandemic, to keep safe, it is best for us to practice social distancing. But a lot of us have really come into understanding that what this really means is exercise physical distancing, because we have been told to keep at least 6 feet between us and others as much as possible, right? So it's not that they want us to disconnect from people. We just need to keep a physical space as much as possible between ourselves and others. I bring this up because one of the other reasons why I actually want to go through the process of understanding our emotions is because we want to keep socially connected. It is our divine nature, our innate nature, rather, to be connected human to human, which is why I started this video by saying I want to connect with you as a real person. I am not the person on video that is not experiencing a little bit of what you're experiencing as well. Maybe I am going through it a little bit differently than you, and you a little bit differently than me. Nevertheless, we're in the same predicament. We're in the same situation, okay? So I say this, it is very important to keep connected, keep your social connections. So as you work hard to also remain socially connected, it will do you a great service to understand your emotions, to keep your relationships healthy. All right, so with that, I want to share with you this PowerPoint, okay? Just bear with me as I open it up. Remember again, this is a process we are joining together. Let me adjust this so that you can flow with me as well and see me. All right, so here we are, understanding our emotions. Let's get started. Emotions. This is defined as a natural instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances. Remember, that circumstance is really right now, COVID-19, being in this pandemic. We're in a crisis, right? And so it also derives from our mood. What has this crisis caused us to feel? It derives from our relationships. Maybe you live alone, maybe you don't. So maybe you're around people 24/7 right now, as a lot of us are still staying home. Or maybe it's those that you work with, right? It's really kind of hard to avoid people altogether. There's typically someone that we are engaging with and we're surrounded by. Now, I put this in here. No, that's not me. But the reason why I dropped it there is because this shows 9 different emotions, right? You can probably see there's surprise and there's a simple smile. So she's happy. And then it looks like, you know, she's giving a little love and blowing a kiss. She looks nervous. She looks angry. She looks irritable. And, you know, we can go on. I dropped this here because I want to confess. In any given day, like throughout the day, I could experience like all of these emotions in one day and then some. So you may be like me, where you don't just go through the day feeling one emotion all day long. And I wanted you to just know that that's completely okay. So that's another reason why we just want to take a moment to say, hey, I want to learn more about me. And the way I'm going to do that is by connecting and understanding more about my emotions. Here we have our basic 6, okay? We have happiness, sadness, fear, surprise, anger, disgust, okay? And so maybe you're sitting there and saying, I know what happy looks like. I know what disgust is like, but I want to just take a minute, if you don't mind, and we'll break them down as well. First, before we go to those, you know, definitions, or at least how those basic 6 are commonly expressed, I wanted to also just share with everyone that it is really important. If you look at this diagram, our emotions, what we feel, is often caused by our thoughts, what we think. Or our emotions can cause various thoughts, what we think. But it's very important too to understand that what we feel often determines what we do, okay? So based upon what you feel and what you think, it will determine how you react and how you then act, okay? So if someone says something to you, you are either gonna respond, you know, with an attitude, or you're gonna respond excitedly. Whatever the case, depending on what someone says to you or what someone does, there's often a reaction, right? But when we truly understand the power of emotion, we're able to really control how we react depending on what is taking place around us or to us. Additionally, not just how we react, but the decision that we make and what we in turn do, okay? So I hope I said that slow enough. Our emotions determine what we think, and what we think determine our emotions, which is what we feel and what we think often determines what we do, okay? So that's just to kind of give you an understanding. Anytime there's a situation, these three are occurring. And today we're simply focusing on our situation, which is mutually shared. And that is that we are going through a pandemic, coronavirus, okay? So here you see again, a situation, something happens. I think for all of us in America, at least it was around the same time, it was March. And so we get this news that we're going to begin staying home because no matter where we are, our governors are telling us that we are safer at home. So there's this situation. Our life is interrupted and there's a disruption in our normal. That's the situation. That situation gave all of us thoughts, whether we realized it or not. And so now may even be a good time. What were my thoughts back then? And what are my thoughts now? Okay? You're always thinking something. Sometimes we're just not moving slow enough to realize that we're thinking. Sometimes we may need to silence a lot of the noise or social media and things to realize what we're thinking. And then our thoughts are really beginning to influence our emotions and what we feel. And whatever's stirring around up here in our brain is really beginning to affect our heart and the feelings of our senses, right? Of what we feel, how we feel. And then lastly, it's our behavior. Am I crying a lot? Am I isolating and staying even more distant than what's required of me? Am I angry? You know, am I yelling a lot? How am I expressing myself these days? Or am I not expressing myself at all? All right. So here we have happiness. It's commonly expressed by smiling, a relaxed body, upbeat and pleasant tone of voice. You know, the reason why I make these points is because sometimes we say we're happy, but we're not showing that we're happy. And it's a good chance that if we can't show it, we may not truly be feeling it. And that's okay. It's just a point that I want to make to help us realize that sometimes we say that we feel a certain way, whether it be a negative feeling or a positive feeling, but perhaps that's not actually what we feel at all. Then there's sadness, which is commonly expressed a number of ways, like crying, a low mood, meaning not bubbly and vibrant and, you know, skipping around. Maybe you're really quiet. Maybe you're withdrawing from others, like I said earlier. And again, there's nothing wrong with crying. We actually may need to cry sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with being quiet, right? But it's just, again, these are points to understand, to put a name to what you may be feeling and to actually accept what you feel. Then there's disgust. This can be either, you know, something that you experience through one of your five senses. It can be through your hearing, it can be through sight, it can be through smell, it can be through taste or through touch. It's not always a scent or, you know, a smell that we don't like. There's different ways to experience disgust. Often though, the expressed thing, that the way that we express it is through turning away if it is a scent, you know, or even if it's a sight, vomiting, wrinkling our nose, and curling our lips. There's some type of expression that this means I don't like what I just experienced. But we can also experience that right now, like even in a pandemic. Just, we're disgusted, we're fed up, right? Then there's anger, where it's commonly expressed through frowning and glaring of the eyes and hard or defensive body language and bodily sweating or turning red. You know, sometimes anger is not always very visual for other people to see, but you may know when you're angry because maybe your heart's racing. Maybe you were turning red, or maybe you're sweating, right? So that there's different ways that people experience anger. Then there's surprise. Surprise can be a positive, a negative, or neutral. You know, sometimes people are experience fear in a form of surprise. Basically, it's something that you were not expecting. to take place, whether you like it or some people don't like it. And so you might express it through raising of your eyebrows, widening of the mouth, jumping back, yelling and screaming, or gasping, that shocked kind of reaction. Oh, I finished. Let me come back to you guys. I did not know that I was ending like that. Now, let me use beneficial to understand that from the basic six are lots of other emotions that can come from them. You might experience feeling lonely or afraid, right? And actually, I'm not sure why fear wasn't there. I apologize. I omitted that. I left that out. It definitely, I only had 5 there, but fear is definitely one of the basic 6. And, so when you experience these basic 6, it's important to understand that there are additional feelings that can come from them. The basic 6 are what they are. They are the foundations of emotions, but there's so many emotions. And I say this because when you realize, you know what, maybe I'm not happy, but maybe there's another feeling. Maybe I'm not sad, but maybe there's another feeling. The goal right now is for me to get you to really understand. I want everyone to just take a moment, and your homework after this video is just to say, I'm going to pay attention to what I feel. After this, I want to pay attention to whether I'm sad right now because of the coronavirus, whether I'm mad right now. It's just going to help us again as we continue to work our way through to the other side of this storm, because it will end. And it's also going to help us just to keep our relationships healthy and strong. But remember, before we can worry about anyone else, understanding emotions, understanding our own emotions will first help us. So as you go through this storm, I hope that when you begin to just take time and maybe journal and write out what you think you're feeling, you hopefully, my hope is that you will begin to feel a little more security. So if you were the person who felt as if you were just on a plank, maybe you'll actually feel like you have a seat now. You'll begin to realize that the more in tune with yourself that you are, and the more work that you put in to keep emotionally and mentally healthy as well, that the more secure you'll begin to feel. Because remember, the physical distancing and the social distancing that has been asked of us is to keep us physically healthy. We have to remember the importance of remaining emotionally and mentally healthy as well. I do hope that this was beneficial to you and that you have a greater understanding of the importance of just trying to learn more about your emotions. And just remember, look into yourself so that you can remember you are not crazy. There is nothing wrong with you. To feel emotions is to be alive. Thank you.